Okay, with the release of the Mavic 3, a lot of people had hoped that they would make the Mavic 3 work with the DJI FPV goggles, version 2 or even version 1. Supposedly, the Air 2S is supposed to work with these at some point, but currently that is not the case. It doesn't. But we're going to try the OG Mavic Pro and original Mavic goggles. Now these use the original OcuSync and OcuSync 2 protocols to work with the original Mavic Pro and the Mavic 2. I've used it on both of those. But the new Mavic 3 has O3, which is the latest version of OcuSync, which I don't think is compatible. So what we're gonna do is plug in the remote control, this is the RC Pro, which has on the bottom here, that is a mini HDMI output, and we're going to plug into these, which has a micro HDMI input. So it's not a regular HDMI on either end, and you can get a mini to micro cable, but I don't have one currently. If this works, I'm going to order one. But what I'm going to try is taking this, which is a Mini. The Mini is the one that's slightly smaller than a standard HDMI. The micro is the one that's really tiny that goes in like a GoPro. I'm going to take this guy, put it into the remote control, use a coupler on the other end with a regular sized HDMI, and couple it to this guy, which is a regular size standard HDMI. I think it's called an HDMI A, to the micro HDMI, which is right here. So this, let me show you real quick. Let me find the end of this thing. It's like gotta hold it by the tail so it doesn't bite you. All right, this is the mini HDMI right there, micro HDMI. So this one will go into the goggles. This one will go into the remote control. So let's give it a try. I have been waiting to try this for a while. So there, that's in. This is still on. And for anybody who's flying any sort of goggles, be careful when you're in the sun so that you don't accidentally place the lens facing the sun, because the diopters in the lens will burn holes in your display and cause little divots. So you'll see right there, boom, that goes in. Off comes the hat, on goes the goggles. These have been sitting in my garage for a while. These are actually pretty cool. I remember when these first came out, I was just blown away by them. And that's on. If this works, I will get a less kludgy setup and less length, because we don't need 18 feet of cable to make this work. Okay. All right, so we're gonna loosen these and tilt them down. Under the settings, there is an HDMI input button, which currently says HDMI disconnected, but that might be because I might have to change a setting in this to output HDMI. Safety. So these are all drone settings. I'm trying to figure out if there's a setting on this remote that will allow me to output via HDMI. So I'm seeing an image now. Oh, I'm seeing an image now. Ha ha! I can see the entire display. All right, so I know I look really cool right now with my long cable hanging off here, but this is super cool. I'm gonna do my first flight using the goggles on the Mavic 3. Now, again, my recommendation would be to buy a goggle or buy a cable that is mini to HDMI mini to HDMI micro. I'm adjusting the diopters for my eyes. Yeah, and then you can accidentally hit a lot of buttons on this thing and cause a lot of menus to come up. So, okay, there we go. All right, so let's give this a try here. With these goggles on, I can just fly super precise because I can see really well. I'm totally focused on it. I'm doing a nice orbit of those lights right now, and I'm doing it pretty well for just doing it by hand, doing it manually. And then let's see, there's a bird up there on top of the lights, I think. Let me zoom in on that bird. So I guess I have to, I can see the heads-up display here. I guess I have to actually tip these up to be able to see that button so I can zoom in. So that is a downside. So look at that. Oh my goodness. I mean, that is like literally, you can see the texture in that metal. And let's see if I tilt up a little bit. I'm going to zoom back out to regular. There we go. Let's throw this guy in sport mode and zip around a little bit. So let's see, sport is like that. Okay, sport mode. And going forward. I see a bird over there. He's ducking down. Oh. He's trying to. He's definitely flying away from me. But I'm staying on him pretty well. It is a little bit like chasing with the FPV goggles. And I'm 300 meters away, 43 meters up. Chasing this bird. Whoa, he just zipped around me. Oh, there he is. This is really cool. I'm glad I held on to these. At one point I had actually considered maybe getting rid of the goggles. But also, just to be clear, I can see the entire heads-up display. I can see my altitude, my distance, my battery left. All that stuff is showing up here in the goggles. So it's basically the same thing that I see on the RC is what I see here. All right, so I'm pretty happy about this because, like I said, I've had these goggles forever. I considered getting rid of them, but I actually really kind of like the fact that you can see on a bright, sunny day as well as you can with these goggles. My experience with these goggles from back in the day, they have a very long battery life. Once you adjust all these things, this thing kind of, just so you know, this thing kind of sits down on your head like so. Like it doesn't go straight, it should go down at an angle. You loosen it until it's down like that, and then you tighten it, and then it pulls the goggles right up against your face, and you get a little bit of light leak, but it's really not that bad. And then you can actually take these and pop them up like that. So if you want to look super cool, you can do that. But all it is an HDMI mini to HDMI micro, and I'm gonna just get one cable that's about 3 feet long that'll do this. So right now though, I have the adapters and I just have a coupler going between two standard HDMI. So there's your 3 different sizes of HDMI. There's the standard, what I call mini, and what I call micro. I think that's right. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the original goggles and flying FPV with the DJI RC Pro. I'm pretty excited that you can do it. Also, one thing that I should note is that while you're flying, the screen here is still lit up and the screen in here is lit up. So you've got a display on both, it's mirrored. So if you wanted to give someone else the goggles to wear while you flew, they could see what you were flying. So if you had a client that wanted to see what you were doing, they could see exactly what you're doing without having to look over your shoulder. As a matter of fact, I am filming at a hospital later this afternoon. I think I'm gonna do this. There you go. Comment below, let me know what you think. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching Ready, Set, Drone.